It's not always easy to ignore someone who hurt you. One of the most difficult situations you can find yourself in is when you're connected to someone who does not want to be connected with you anymore. They may have hurt your feelings by what they said or did. Sometimes, we let these thoughts and feelings take over, keeping us from moving on and potentially even holding on to a grudge. But there are ways to move past them and eventually get closure so they don't affect your life in the long haul. Here are some ways to ignore somebody who hurt you. 1. Disregarding hurtful behavior when it occurs. Maintain your composure. If someone is attempting to purposefully harm or agitate you, it is essential that you do not give them what they want. However, if they aren't being purposefully cruel, reacting with rage might unnecessarily exacerbate the matter. Even if you're angry, upset, or terrified, try to look cool and composed. Take deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth if you find it useful. Count slowly from 1 to 10 in your head. Try to maintain neutral and expressionless facial expressions. If you can't think of anything useful to say, be mute. If someone is being unpleasant or insulting to you, you may feel compelled to lash out or hit back with your own harsh remarks. However, doing so will very certainly aggravate the issue. Instead of saying whatever comes to mind in the heat of the moment, pause and consider whether what you want to say is essential, accurate, or useful. If it isn't, don't say it. Refrain from yelling, crying, or insulting the other person. If you find yourself snapping back or speaking before you think, try gently biting your tongue or putting your finger to your lips. If you want to answer but need some time to cool down and think about your remarks, consider stating, "Excuse me, I need a moment." Step out of the room to calm down. If the other person is being purposefully cruel, go away. If you believe the other person is bullying you or attempting to hurt your feelings, simply walking away may be the best approach to handle the problem. This will communicate to them that you are uninterested in engaging in their nasty and improper actions. If the individual is someone you know, respond. Ignoring someone isn't always the greatest response to unpleasant conduct. If the person who injured you is a family member, friend, or coworker, for example, it may be preferable to gently address them and explain how their actions impact you. Ignoring them will almost certainly result in simmering resentments and will not address the situation. For instance, you may remark, "When you call me names like that, I feel really wounded and insulted. Please don't treat me like that." If a stranger is disrespectful to you, or the scenario appears to be a one-time occurrence, it may be preferable to simply disregard the issue and go on. If the conduct is a pattern, set explicit limits with the person. Setting and enforcing certain limits with someone who behaves in a harmful manner on a regular basis may be beneficial. Tell them you're not going to respond to their harmful conduct anymore. Make sure you stick to the consequences you've established. It might be beneficial to provide an alternative to the harmful habit. You may then overlook the negative conduct while reinforcing the better option. Say something like, "If you laugh at me or insult me, I'm not going to have a discussion with you. When you're ready to be polite and truly listen to what I have to say, we can talk. If you think you're in danger, get out and seek help. If you feel physically intimidated, avoid confronting the individual. Get away from them as soon as you can and find someone who can assist you or contact the emergency number as soon as it is safe to do so. Don't overlook someone who is threatening you or physically abusing you. Even if you leave the situation, they may repeat the conduct or cause harm to someone else. Someone in authority should be notified about the aggressive behavior. If you have to see the individual again, attempt to bring someone along. They can serve as a witness to any further bullying or assist in keeping the bully in control. 2. Getting back on your feet after being hurt. Allow yourself to be irritated by what occurred. It's reasonable to feel embarrassed about someone who has done something very wrong. Ignoring or denying your feelings will not make them go away and may make them worse. Rather, give your feelings a name and allow yourself to feel them without judgment. When you have time to yourself, sit somewhere quiet and just breathe and reflect on how you are feeling. For example, you may tell yourself, "I'm feeling tired and ashamed," I'm quite angry by John's behavior during my family party. Spend some time considering whether this is bringing up anything from your history for you. Understanding what is being prompted might help you put what has just transpired into context. Attempt to comprehend the individual's motivations. Consider what was going on in the other person's head to cause their actions. Maybe they were having a horrible day and lash out at everyone around them, or maybe they didn't understand how painful their conduct was. Even if it's obvious that the other person was being purposefully cruel, keep in mind that individuals typically act in this manner due to their own anxieties. Acknowledging or sharing feelings with the other person's motivations does not obligate you to justify their actions. It can, nevertheless, assist you in making sense of their actions and feeling less upset and puzzled as a result of it. Recognize that the harmful actions of the other person are just not your responsibility. Realize that the other person chose to act the way they did, regardless of what led up to your painful experience with them. Their actions reveal more about them than they reveal about you. Understand, however, that the other person does not control your feelings or conduct. It's acceptable to be hurt, but remember that your hurt sentiments are entirely your own. Instead of ignoring the other person, focus on addressing the problem. Ignoring someone is not always a good or healthy method to resolve a disagreement. In fact, ignoring someone or giving them quiet treatment on purpose may be highly harmful. If the person who harmed you is a friend, loved one, significant other, or coworker, talking to them about how you feel and discussing solutions is typically a preferable choice. For example, you may remark, "I'm extremely offended when you call me stupid when in an altercation. Can we focus on finding better methods to express our dissatisfaction with one another without resorting to insults?" If possible, keep your interaction with the person to a minimum. If you're dealing with someone who consistently harms you or disregards your limits, your best choice may be to avoid them as much as possible or to break connections entirely. If you believe you owe the individual a justification for why you are attempting to avoid them, tell them gently that you have been consistently hurt by their conduct and are cutting connections for your own good. If it is impossible to avoid the person entirely, such as a colleague or a close relative who stays with you, be courteous but don't solicit their companionship. If possible, have a second person with you when you need to interact with them.